Okay, I'd like to invite up to the front now Peter Williams. Peter's going to be exploring with three other people who I'll introduce in a tick. What is the value proposition for genomics from the herd improvement point of view? Peter will be well known to many of you. He's been working for Datagene as an extension officer since 2011. Got a Bachelor of Ag Sci. Previously, I didn't realise, Peter, just how many places that you've been involved with over the years. So, Peter, in no order of importance, but certainly chronology, Peter's worked originally for Victorian Artificial Breeders in Bacchus Marsh. He's also worked for RAB in Albury, ABS as well. He's been involved with sire acquisition and progeny testing. His name has been associated with bulls such as Donor and Gold Bullion, and my personal favourite, Flower Power. So Peter's been working extensively in the industry on AI programs, bull selection advice. He's had a pivotal role in Datagene since 2011. He's also a Geelong supporter, but we won't hold that against him much. Joining Peter will be three people. The first person is Matt Aikenhead. Matt works for ABS Australia. He's been with the team for about 13 years. His role is primarily working with farmers that use ABS to improve their outcomes, both genetically and also reproductively. Prior to ABS, Matt worked for 8 years as a herd manager for a large New South Wales commercial herd business. And prior to that, he was 2 years on a commercial farm in the United States. Matt's got a Bachelor of Applied Science and an MBA. Joining Matt and Peter is Anna Norgren. Anna's over here. So Anna, originally from Sweden, she works for ST Genetics that is based in Western Victoria, but Anna lives in Northern Victoria. So Anna holds a master's degree in animal science that she obtained from Sweden. She moved here in 2008 and subsequently joined, after other agricultural roles in Australia, she joined ST in 2020. She's involved in their programs for customising herd audit to assist the use of sexed female and beef semen and how that can be used strategically in herds. She's passionate about the dairy industry and her current role with genomic testing and precision map to help farmers improve their outcomes. And she keeps 2 kids corralled in her spare time. And finally, another person who's well known in this forum, Nick Brasher, will be joining us down the pipe. So Nick is one of the co-directors and owners of FarmWest over in Bunbury. Many of you would have been over that part of the world, I suspect. It's WA's only herd improvement and data processing and distribution centre. So Nick's been involved with the industry his entire working life, obviously with a tight focus on improving the herds based in the west, of which there's about 120, 130 now, a pivotal part of the Western Australian ag industry. Nick's also on the Western Dairy Board as their specialist director. So Peter, you're going to run the ship. Over to you. Thanks very much.
Good. Thank you, John. Thank you very much for the opportunity to actually chair our panel today. So it won't be me doing all the hard work. It'll actually be our panel members. So welcome, Anna. Welcome, Matt. And welcome to Nick, who is actually joining us from WA. So it's a little bit early over your way, Nick. We're 10 o'clock, but you've got up for breakfast.
Yes, no, it's all good, Pete. It's a good way to start the day.
Terrific. So thank you for that, and thanks for joining us. Even though you can leave WA as soon as you like, so hopefully we'll see you over here in person soon now that you've opened some borders. So just to introduce our session, we've just heard from Pete and we've heard from John Sutherland that genomics has really been a game changer. When I look at what genomics have done in my time in the industry, I would actually put it as probably the greatest achievement, and I don't go back over 100 years, but it would certainly be significant over time. So what genomics does it shines a light into previously unknown dark corners. So we had a thing called DNA. We didn't quite know what it was, but we knew it made us different. So what genomics does, it shines an extremely powerful light into that dark corner, and like John indicated, lets us see what's there. But genomics on its own doesn't happen without some key ingredients. So we need herd owners, we need farmers, we need cow owners, we need animals, so we need something to give us the tissue. And we need technology, and we need some very smart people such as Jenny and our team and Hurt to actually make sense of those numbers. But what we're going to focus on today is the vital role. All of that doesn't happen without some of the key people we're going to talk to today. So they're our genomic service supporters or providers, and they're the organisations that have got skin in the game, they've got people on the ground. They talk to farmers about getting interested in genomics, getting started in genomics, how to read the reports, because if anybody has seen a genomic report, I think the first time Hurt sent me one, I didn't know where to look. So they help interpret and also to encourage farmers. It is a big investment, and as John mentioned, it does cost, but it's one of the greatest returns that they can do. So part of the role of the people that will talk to us, our panel, is to actually show you how farmers get their biggest bang for the buck. So just to, our panel has been introduced, but we'll kick off with Matt, who is Matt Aikenhead, who's Manager of Technical Services for ABS Australia, living in Mount Gambier. South Australia, Matt. We haven't been able to get there for a little while. Matt, I've found fascinating. He knows a lot about performance data, and we've shared a lot of enlightening conversations, exploring the numbers that drive performance and genetic improvement. Matt is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to numbers, and particularly when they have dollar signs attached to them. Matt is very good at making those dollars stack up. So with that, Matt, I'd invite you to tell us a little bit about how your organisation actually offers your genomic services.
I have the little clicker. Is that possible? Okay, cool. So our approach to genomic testing of females is pretty straightforward. We see ourselves as a genetics company, not a semen company. And so when we have our customers genomically testing their heifers, then we can jump all the preceding conversation and jump straight into genetics. And that's kind of the fun part. That's the part I like. So you can see that helps us improve our service delivery. So it's added value. And just to quote my boss, just because I need a pay rise this year, is every time a farmer invests in livestock genetics, it's a choice about their future. So that's kind of the forefront of what we're doing. So, okay, I didn't realise this was going to be so easy. So when I do training for our team and when we talk at ABS, we talk about our winning game plan. Our winning game plan's pretty straightforward. We want to use sex cell or sex semen over our animals we want more of, and we want to use beef or our beef and focus product or some sort of export type of situation over the animals we want less of. And so the key part of a winning game plan is knowing who your good animals are and who your animals that you don't want to keep the genetics from are. And genomics helps us do that with a level of accuracy that we can't get from pedigree or just visual scoring or anything like that. So that's why we like it. We do partner up with some of our customers and future customers, I guess, to do some genomic testing so that we have some control over that. That's how we use it in our business. How do we facilitate that? Well, we facilitate that through DataVat. So I have a consultant login for DataVat, and I just use that in conjunction with Pete. Pete's been quite helpful, and people at DataVat have been quite helpful. So we can log in there. I think the key to this point is that a lot of farmers have genomically tested this year, with milk price, whatever. And so there's a real risk that they use that data once, they make a culling decision, and then they never look at it. And that doesn't fit into our winning game plan approach. I think it's a waste of a resource. And so had a night the other day just over in Yarram. We're sitting at a pub with a few customers having dinner, had our little projector up on the wall, and we, with their okay, we went through each person's best cows, worst cows, or heifers genomically tested, and it was a bit of fun, and you could see them really invested. And from our point of view, I think, Pete, when farmers see it, and you could see that with John, when they see their numbers, they really get into improving, and that's what we're all about, genetics. How do we make that work? We run it through our GMS program, which is our mating program. The DataVat process isn't great for reporting, so we're able to report on different things like production index, health traits, etc. And most importantly, it helps us select the next line of genetics to bring into the herd. And finally, and again, this goes on the back of the previous presentation, but we talk about our winning game plan and how, and the question was asked, is genomics the biggest player, or sex semen, or whatever? I think it all fits together, and if you can fit it all together into one story, then you get a step change in your improvement, and that makes more money for us and for our customers. So that's kind of the bulk of my...
Terrific, Matt, thank you. And I did forget to mention, we will have questions, but we'll actually hold them until we get through our three panellists. So thank you very much, Matt, for that presentation on what ABS do with genomics. Now we'll swing across to the west so that Nick doesn't fall asleep over there. Nick, as was introduced, Nick Brasher is Managing Director of FarmWest, and it's been a family business there, Nick, for quite a number of years, and Nick joined the business full-time in 2011. So he's now got over 10 years experience. Probably the years you did before that, Nick, were unpaid, so that was part-time. But Nick has now got a huge experience, not only with the AI side, but very hands-on with herd test, and also a growing beef business. So Nick is very much a hands-on person in delivering the information to farms. So Nick, tell us about how you do it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Pete. I'll just share my screen here. Have you got that there, Pete?
Yep.
So basically improving our service delivery to dairy producers using genomics. So our business goal is to assist dairy producers in becoming more profitable through the use of genetics, AI, herd testing, and other associated services. So genomics fits right into that schedule of what our main purpose of our business is. And to do that, obviously, we've got the traditional services of typical services, including bull selections, matings, mating suggestions using GeneScreen, or whether it be another mating program from another company, Woolworths or ABS or whatnot, or ST. AI, calf dehorning, freeze branding, herd recording, and now includes genomic testing. And the genomic testing has become a larger part of our business. Typically, our sales team would go out and sell the semen and AI the cows or heifers, and then someone else from the team will go back and calf dehorn or freeze brand them. So the sales team weren't necessarily seeing the progeny coming through from the bulls that they picked. But now with the genomic testing, we're going back onto the farms and looking at the progeny and going through the herds with the farmers, which has been really, really rewarding to see the results of that with the producers. The sampling logistics that we provide, the service within FarmWest now, so obviously we provide the TSUs to the farms, so whether they're delivered by one of the sales team or through the herd test trucks going out onto the farms. We then either receive the samples back from the farm and input the data into the CDR, or if they're already on the CDR, then we're right to go. But all we get from the farm is a sample box with the ID number of the animal. So they don't do any of the submission forms or anything like that. We do all that for them. So we check whether the animals are on the centralised database or data gene, and then if they don't exist on there, we get the diff files off the farmer, off whatever software program they've got, whether it be Easy Dairy or Dairy ID or iDairy, DLL, Pro, whatever it may be, and then input those manually into the database and create the national IDs, and then we can create the submission forms from there for whatever genetic testing company they want to use. From that information, we create the submission forms, send it off the TSUs to the company, and it's essentially, as I said, all we get from the farm is literally the TSU box with the ID number on it, and we do the rest for them because we know how busy they are. So how do we deal with the results from the genomic testing? So once the results come back, they generally come to us to forward onto the producer, or the farm will let us know that they've received the results. We can then go sit with the producer and go through the results together, or prepare bull recommendations based on seeing those results and go over those animals. In a lot of cases, we've been asked to go out onto the farm and visually inspect the heifers when there's heifers to be sold or mated. And then essentially we go to the farm, sort through the heifers based on both the genomics and the structure of the animals physically as well. And Michael Rose from our team's been really good with that, and continue to be. We also keep track of the genetic progress of the herd using the genomic progress report and try to see if there's any areas that can be improved. What's the value back to us as a business? Because obviously we don't charge for this service, so the value for us is we know how valuable farmers' times are, and any time that can be afforded to us by a producer to talk about genetics and genomics is valuable. Not only because we know how busy they are, but also because we just love talking about cattle and genetics, and it brings us into a conversation, makes us a piece of their farming puzzle in that respect. We don't charge for the service we provide in relation to genomic testing at the moment. Who knows what will happen in the future? But in a lot of cases, we've become the first port of call here in Western Australia when people start asking questions around genomics. So, yeah, that's our story so far, Pete.
Terrific, thanks Nick, and I know the business has been growing, and the support you give it is really a model for the rest, because it's not just sell a product and move on, it's actually the full support of that right through to interpreting the results. So thank you, Nick. Hang fire, we might have some questions for you at the end. Our third panellist is Anna Norgren from ST Genetics, and Anna manages the genomic testing pipeline. So if anybody has ever been involved with a genomic testing pipeline, Anna, there are a lot of pipes, aren't there? And they don't all work together, but we are getting it streamlined now to the point. So Anna's role is to connect the clients or their clients to a vast array of product and services that ST offer through their extensive global network. So it's a global company, and of course ST have been involved largely with sexing semen. So Anna's based in Albury, a mother of two, so you've got a very busy life, homeschooling last year, but Anna's really enjoys the contact she has with farmers and of all breeds. So it's not just the black and whites, a Jersey as well as a passion for red breeds. So welcome Anna, and come and tell us about a little bit about ST and their genomic pipeline.
Thanks. Well, you covered a lot in my introduction, so I don't need to present as much. I will talk a little bit about genomic testing and precision map. So this is services that ST Genetics offering, as well as the semen. So what is precision map? That's a program we have developed that is a customized herd audit, where we're using either herd testing data and or together with genomic data, combined with the milk contract or the milk payment, to help the farmers to maximize their profit per pregnancy or plan for the future. So in this program, I get a snapshot of how the herd sits genetically. So here is an example. And if you look on the right-hand side, so 95% of the herd recording cows in Australia are within that range. Then it ranks the animals based on that customized index, which using the Australian breeding values together with the milk contract. And then the dollar figure is the average gain over 3 years per animal in that herd. So I found this page is a good engagement with the farm to discuss where they're heading and what they want to focus on. We also get the genetic progress report for each trait. I just put up this slide as an example of one trait. So here is the trend for the customized index. And in the bottom you see the year of birth for the animals. So it shows that the younger animals are better than the older animals. And it's also the younger animals we're making the decisions on which to use on sex semen and beef, etc. So the main goal of this program is to map the herd into different groups according to the breeding strategy. So the best animals, not just the highest indexed animals, it's the best animals that suits your milk payment as well, get bred to elite sex semen. Then we have the second group that will go to sex semen for export or marketing, selling animals. And then the bottom group will go to either conventional or beef semen. So the other company in UK that also doing this program, their different groups are sexed elite dairy semen, then they have sexed beef and conventional beef. They don't, 3% of their total sales last year were conventional dairy semen. Here in Australia, we're not there yet, but that's where I see we're heading. So precision map can be used with other programs that we have. So we get the report with the strategy, the animal ID, and the ranking in the herd. So that's where I give the farmer. And the next step is obviously to select the bulls within each of those groups. But it can be used with a mating program. We obviously have the beef on dairy as well, and the sex semen, of course. My last 2 slides is just about the genomic services we're offering. So we have 3 different tests, Vision 75, which is under a US system, and it's 75 traits. And then we have Vision 20, which is a cheaper test. It's just a one-off test with 20 traits. And then we test under the BPI system, the Australian system. So all of those tests include the milk markers, you get the parent verification. So, but we also get the haplotypes with the BPI and the Vision 75. And most of the haplotypes affects fertility, but there are also haplotypes for the dominant lead gene or POLT testing. I'm quite exciting because I think in the near future, in our market package, the POLT testing will be included. At the moment, we have to send those tests off. Regarding the haplotypes, what I tell the farmers is there's only a small percentage of the herds that usually are carriers for those haplotypes, but it's a management tool that when they select the bulls to make sure they don't test the bull that's a carrier for that particular haplotype. And I think that's what I had.
Terrific, thank you, Anna. And I guess it just shows that genomics is not just about taking an ear notch or taking some DNA. It generates a lot of information, and a huge part of delivering the service is to actually talk to the farmers about what that information means. So Now, we have got time for probably one or two questions to the panel before our the next speaker. If somebody has got a question they'd like to direct to one of the panel, including Nick. Or I might just fire a very quick one to Matt, just to, we spoke yesterday about some experience you had in Tasmania with a recent herd that had tested a big number of heifers, and the results were quite interesting, Matt, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a new customer, well, hopefully a new customer of ours, a future customer, and they'd got their heifers genomically tested for the first time this year, and it was on the Zoetis space, so we went through, we had a look, we put sires beside BPI, they were culling on BPI, and all of a sudden there was and this is not unusual, there was a realisation that, and this is what I get really excited about, there was a realisation that a particular bull they'd used sexed was nowhere near the rest of the team that they'd used. So they'd used a number of bulls 450 plus on BPI, and this one bull that they'd used sexed, probably a calving ease bull, they had a heap of offspring from, and he was 285 BPI, thereabouts. And so all of a sudden when they're looking at their results, they're like, why is this bull overrepresented at the bottom of my BPI rank? And why do we have so many of them? And it's like, well, honestly, I could have told you that was going to happen before you genomically tested them. Which is fun for me because the next conversation is, well, we're not going to do that again. We're going to have a balanced team and we're going to do it properly. And that I get so frustrated when I see customers do this zigzag in their results. And so they pick one way and they go the other way and they make bad decisions. And then you've always said, Pete, genetics are cumulative and permanent. And that goes if you make a good decision or a bad one. And so, yeah, having that in front of a farmer just jumps straight to that conversation. I think that's what I really like about genomic testing females, is you can jump straight to a genetics conversation.
And it was such a quick feedback, Nick, because we spoke about the timeline it would normally take to get that. If there weren't genomic testing, it would take 5 to 6 years before they milked them, looked at them, gave them excuses, milked them again. Genomics gave him that result instantaneously, didn't it?
One of his comments was, because he'd used it sexed in his heifers always get joined first, they're all the heifers I would have kept, and I would have culled all the other ones that were born afterwards. So from a genetic progress point of view, which was his aim, he wasn't achieving it. So.
Yeah, no, great story. Okay, well, thank you very much. We thank our three speakers, and particularly Nick, thank you for joining us. You can have breakfast now. So thank you very much, and join with me to thank them and for their presentation.